Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This past week has been absolutely insane for AMD. We have seen some major announcements. First of all, the partnership with OpenAI, which includes the deployment of 6 gigawatts of AI capacity. As part of the deal, OpenAI will receive warrants allowing it to acquire up to 10% of AMD. And just a few days ago, AMD announced another major partnership, this time with Oracle, to deploy 50,000 MI450 chips starting in the third quarter of next year, with plans to expand the partnership in 2027 and beyond. And let's not forget that Oracle itself has a $300 billion agreement with OpenAI to provide cloud capacity, which makes this entire web of partnerships even more interesting for AMD. All these announcements sent AMD stocks soaring, up more than 50% in just 1 week. But more importantly, they made it clear that AMD is on its way to becoming a multi-trillion-dollar company. Let's talk about the OpenAI deal. We don't have the exact financial details, but we can make some estimates. Jensen Huang has said multiple times that building 1 gigawatt of data center capacity costs between $50 and $60 billion, with roughly $35 billion spent on CPUs and GPUs. He was referring to NVIDIA's GPUs, and we know that AMD chips are about 30% cheaper, although that gap will likely shrink with the new MI400 series. So we can estimate that each gigawatt will bring AMD between $25 and $30 billion in revenue. That means that the entire 6 gigawatt contract could generate around $125 billion in revenue for AMD. Deployments are expected to start in the second half of 2026 and be completed by 2030, which translates to roughly $25 billion in extra annual revenue. To put that in perspective, AMD's total revenue in 2024 was just over $25 billion. So, this single deal alone could double the company's yearly revenue. Beyond the numbers, this partnership validates AMD's long-term thesis. We already knew that the two companies collaborated on the design of the MI450, optimizing it for inference workloads. But this new deal tightly binds them together. OpenAI now has a huge incentive to help AMD grow and become a major player in AI chip manufacturing. In fact, OpenAI warrants to acquire up to 10% of AMD will only be exercisable once specific conditions are met, and the final warrant can only be exercised if AMD reaches $600 per share by 2030, which equals a $1 trillion market cap. From how Lisa Su and Jensen Huang have been speaking lately, it's clear both expect OpenAI to become a global AI powerhouse, and seeing ChatGPT's explosive growth, now reaching over 800 million weekly users, it's not hard to see why. If the most important AI company in the world chooses AMD, it's only natural to expect that others will follow. I fully expect AMD to announce similar large-scale deals soon with companies like Meta, xAI, which already collaborates closely with AMD, and others likely lining up next. What makes me sure a deal with xAI is coming is that AMD owns a small stake in xAI, and more importantly, Elon Musk just a few weeks ago publicly praised AMD, saying their chips now perform very well for small and mid-sized models. And let's not forget the Oracle partnership. AMD and Oracle are teaming up to deploy 50,000 MI450 chips in Oracle's data center starting next year. The cluster will represent about 200 megawatts of computing power, with plans to scale up in 2027 and beyond. Given Oracle's $300 billion cloud deal with OpenAI, it's easy to imagine a significant portion of that budget going toward AMD accelerators. Now, of course, these massive commitments from OpenAI, which plans to spend hundreds of billions of dollars with hyperscalers and chip makers, have raised some eyebrows. After all, OpenAI expects to generate only $13 billion in revenue in 2025 and doesn't plan to become profitable until 2029. But as Jensen said recently, companies like OpenAI will be printing cash soon. Here's a key quote from him. Not long ago, AI companies were producing tokens at a loss. In the last several months, that changed. People are willing to pay because these models are really useful now. The tokens are profitable now. We are going to have incredibly profitable and incredibly useful AIs long before AGI. I think our primary focus, our number one strategy, is to create a platform that increases performance. Or another way to think about it, reduces token generation costs by significant margins every year. Everybody benefits when we drive token costs down each year. Between Blackwell and Hopper, we are going to reduce token costs 10 to 20 times. Moore's law alone would have driven it down 20%. Instead, it's 20 times. And we'll do it again and again every year. As the token generation continues to decrease, AIs get smarter, everything gets better. That's how companies like OpenAI will eventually become profitable. As their models get smarter, adoption grows, and token generation costs drop dramatically, their margin will explode. So, yeah, while the numbers OpenAI is throwing around might seem insane, I'm confident that they will be able to make it work. To wrap it up, the last 2 weeks have been phenomenal for AMD. The stock is up 50%, but more importantly, its long-term thesis has been validated. I'm convinced this is only the beginning. We will soon see more deals of this scale, and that's why I believe more than ever that AMD is on its way to becoming a multi-trillion-dollar company. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.